What is the most difficult lesson you've ever learned?
Probably to love myself. I'm getting there. I think now I just kind of realize the things I shouldn't let other people do to me and how they should treat me. Whereas before, I let people treat me like shit. Just the way they spoke to me and the things they did to me and just in general, treating me like I wasn't a person.
Probably that just life really is not fair and that it's not gonna look out for anyone just because you have a specific religious belief or you feel entitled. Things will still come and just hit you out of nowhere. No one is immune basically to anything that the wrongs in life. So my mom was diagnosed with breast cancer and we were in the middle of moving around and just having to watch her go through chemo and all that kind of stuff. While she was trying to deal with moving a family of 4 basically alone across the country. So it's pretty brutal and she's just the most amazing woman I've ever met. So just having to watch her go through that, I'm wow, no one's safe out here. It's just anyone can go down. But
the most difficult lesson I think I've had to learn, and this too has evolved within the past few years, is that my family does love me and does care about me. And getting to know my family again. For a long time, my mom and I, we just didn't see eye to eye. We didn't, she never would come visit me. I got to visit her very few times. And I have to say, getting to know my family again.
You can't always rely on people that you thought you could rely on. And it's more family stuff for me, and I won't go too much into detail, but yeah, I've had people in my family let me down, stuff like that, or have been horrible to other members of my family who I love. I don't want to go too much into it because I could be here all day. Some people you just kind of have to leave in the past, and it is what it is, so yeah.
You're not going to get everything you want. Straight, simple as that. You're not going to get everything you want. People are not going to treat you the way that you want to be treated. You're going to fail. You are going to fall. It's not what it's all cracked up to be. That's probably the biggest thing, is that you can't predict anything and you can't predict anyone. And you can try to control as much as you can around you, but in reality, you don't have much control over anything. Well, I'm a control freak, so that's something I had to control the controllables. Is a big lesson. There's a lot of things you can't control, but you can control the things that you can control.
Not to be nihilistic or anything, but just sort of how insignificant you are in the grand scheme of things. I guess that's more of an ego thing. You're not the most important thing in the world. I think I struggle with the side effects of it, feeling that more so on the mental side of things, where I was you sort of feel sort of depressed and lonely, saying within that same, thought process, but at the same time, it sort of gives you a freedom to think I'm myself and I have a certain, effect on the world, but not everything's about me, and, I shouldn't live my life as if everything's about me.
One that constantly rings my head. Can't speak. Life doesn't always go your way, and what to do about it is just keep on going. It doesn't matter what you're going through. Just gotta keep going.
The most difficult lesson, I think, is that everybody goes through their own traumas. Once you get to a certain age, you kind of realize that you never know what somebody has seen in life and the experiences they've gone through to get them to where they are. So I just try and go with grace every day, and even if people are, in a bad spot, having a bad moment, I try and think about how they've seen their own experiences and whatever they've lived through has brought them to where they are, and just even giving little bouts of kindness to somebody can really change their outlook.
Damn, I'm gonna let y'all go first.
I actually have an answer to this one. I'm still learning this lesson. I have a tendency to get overwhelmed, but my dad has always told me how to eat an elephant. One bite at a time.
Yeah.
And yeah, it took me a really long time to take that to heart, and I even now say it back to my dad when he's overwhelmed about stuff at work. He'll be like, oh, this project is going so nuts at work and I just don't know how we're gonna get it all done. I'll be like, well, you eat an elephant one bite at a time. That's what you always said, so better put your money where your mouth is. So yeah, elephant eating. You can go.
Oh, okay. Trying to learn that nothing is worth more than your your self-respect, and that you kind of have to like respect yourself first before you do anything else. It's really hard to do because I'm kind of okay with like being a joke as long as it like makes others happy. And it's taken me a really long time to like actually step forward to be like, hey, actually, on second thought, you can't say mean things to me because it's funny, and to like step up for myself. So yeah, like even now, just trying to remind myself like there's nothing worth more than like the respect I have for myself and my own self-esteem, and that there's nothing I would like use my self-respect to pay for to get, you know?
I have always like lived up to the expectations of others, and I'm like slowly starting to learn that that's not like a sustainable way to live and whatnot. So I guess that's like a hard lesson that I'm learning. And you know, just making yourself happy is like the most important thing that you need to do first. Like putting yourself first, essentially.
I would also like to say, what I was trying to say earlier is nothing's worth the cost of your self-respect. That is how you would phrase that.
There you go. You got it.
It took me a minute.
Cherish the time that you have with your parents. You know, you don't have that opportunity to have that with them. My dad, unfortunately, was taken from me in 2015, so, you know, I do bite that, you know, that hard tongue on myself about how I didn't spend enough time with him and the things we've said to each other left unsaid. And so just definitely take care of, you know, the people you love and keep in contact and don't hold grudges and enjoy the moments that you have with the people you have around you, truly.
That's hard to say for me. And I think the military, being in the military and getting out, society's different. You can dictate in the military, but you can't dictate and tell people what you think outside the military. You've got human relations, you've got race relations, and all those things apply in civilian life. In the military, you were restricted, so you didn't talk about it. But on the outside, if you make that mistake, you can get in trouble.
I think the most difficult thing I've had to learn is like to not take things really personally. Like some people might say certain things, other people's responses aren't going to be directed towards you. It's coming to them, like coming from themselves.
Not everybody's going to like you. That's always a tough one because I have been such a people pleaser growing up. So sometimes when people just don't like you or just can't connect with you, it's tough. It's a hard pill to swallow.
Yeah, and with that, knowing how to say no, I think is one of the hardest lessons I've ever learned. Knowing your boundaries and knowing that it's okay to say no. You know, if people don't like you because of that, as long as you're taking care of yourself and doing the right thing, it shouldn't matter.
Oh gosh. I think probably that there's like things in life that are like out of your control, and like how you handle them like says a lot about you as a person, and being able to deal with things that may be bad that are out of your control like determines like who you're going to be.
Forgiveness, yeah. Oh gosh, this is kind of going to get a little deep, but my father-in-law was murdered, and so the person that murdered him was caught, and just trying to release all of that anger and frustration, and it was all bent up. It was all pent up for so many years. And in a situation like ours, it went on for years because there were 3 trials. And so each time you think you're getting over it, it all comes back, and it all comes back, and it all comes back. For me personally, it just really came down to forgiveness and forgiving the person, not necessarily condoning what they did, but accepting it that this is what they chose to do. It has no reflection on whether or not I approve it, disapprove it, or forgive him. I need to forgive him for me so that I can move on, and because I'm a Christian and that's what Jesus Christ calls me to do, because I am forgiven, then I need to forgive others. And so that was a huge, huge lesson for me. That was a lot. I said it would get deep, yeah. I feel released. You know, I feel released from it. I don't feel any animosity. It's sad, you know, of course it's a sad situation, but I think I've also flipped a little bit because I also feel very sorry for the person who's in prison and he's having to live out his life in prison, and not that his punishment isn't just, but I really feel sorry for his family. And his family, I hope that they can forgive him so that they're not constantly burdened with the anger and the resentment that I carried for all those years.
The most difficult lesson I've ever learned is probably to not leave your food out when you have a dog. I have a question for you.
Okay.
Are you scared of your high school friends seeing this?
No, I would actually kind of like them to to see it. I'm proud of what I do, and yeah. So.
I have one more quick question.
Yeah, sure.
When you wake up, do you choose your hair to be greasy as A, the bottom of a McDonald's bag, or B, the bottom of a KFC bag? Because your hair's pretty greasy.
What? I like my hair.
You do?
I do. I like my hair.
He's roasting you.
Oh. Anyway,